So I was scrolling through TikTok, just like before bed, and I saw this really, really interesting one, and it kind of floated the concept of why men have such a hard time, like, not only empathizing but even understanding what women have to go through in terms of like being hypersexualized and oversexualized and constantly like looked at for that all the time. And it kind of makes sense when you think about it. There's for however much women in this country are generally objectified and oversexualized, the opposite is equally true for men. We are generally we go through our lives with, maybe some nice words from our mother or grandmother or an aunt about how we look. But, we never actually, we truly, never have anybody outside of, a significant other tell us that we look good or we look handsome or we look sexy or whatever. We're attention and, we're attention starved. God knows that, whenever I get a hug from my girlfriend, I just melt into it. Because I'm just so damn touch starved that it's not even funny, so it's like I can kind of I actually didn't really I knew it intentionally, but I didn't really couldn't really articulate it until I saw this video. And so the that's not to say that women should start catcalling guys and doing all that, because at least in the short term, because it is still technically sexual harassment, even if if a random woman would give me a compliment on my eyes or my looks or whatever, that probably would make my week. If I was single, so it's there's it's one of those things where it's just we need to be much more healthy as a society. And just because we want something doesn't necessarily mean the objects of our affection are necessarily equipped to handle it, and that goes both ways. It's women have to deal with, it's a fairly dangerous society living in. They're outside of their home. Some women just don't feel like it's always a risk. My girlfriend even told me that she started dating me because I felt non-threatening to her. It really honestly does come down to we just got to be better. We've got to stop treating women as we don't need to sexualize or look at every single woman that goes by, and we also need to stop making it so we also need to start telling telling men that y'all look good. One of the things I do with me and my friend group is that if I'll just tell some of my boys yo bro, you looking clean, you looking nice. I try to make them feel good in how they feel, and it's there's purpose behind that, because I care about them. They're my friends. They're like my family, and I also know what it's like to. We all know what it's like to not feel attractive. We generally go through life not feeling attractive, and so it's there's things we can women should not have to be the ones to tell us we look good. We as guys should be doing that a little bit more. I'm not now. That is not to say that guys don't do that, but I also think there's ways you can tell your friend that he looks good and he's looking clean and handsome and all that stuff, and it doesn't have to feel there's just so much internalized homophobia in the society that you don't, just because you're complimenting your homie doesn't mean it's gay. And granted, I think that's more with the older generation of people. I think the generation that says "nice cock, bro" as a joke is necessarily dealing with that. But that's also a pejorative. It's not. I'm sure there's plenty of people all around this country that are being raised in homophobic and racist homes, and kind of sucks for them. So, but they'll be with the minority 30 years from now. So what can you do? Anyways, this is kind of my soapbox. I was just thinking, and I don't know. What do you guys think? Tweet me. Hit me up on like DM me on Instagram. Hit on the Facebook page. Whatever. I'd love to hear what you guys think. But yeah, it's and if this is a comment section, hit it below. But I genuinely think that there's some things that we have to change on a society-wide basis over the course of a few years before we can really just, like there's an empathy disconnect between like straight men and straight women in that regard, and until that kind of empathy gap is bridged, I think it's going to be a lot harder to. If men were able to understand where women were coming from when they want like women-only spaces so they feel safe, like, yes, technically having a woman's-only gym or a woman's-only movie theater night or whatever is technically sexist on paper. As a matter of principle, it makes sense why those things exist. Being a woman kind of sucks in this country. There's only one reason I would ever want to be a woman, and there's about 50 why I'm glad I'm not. But that's just me. So it's there's a lot of disconnects between the two that I kind of observe, but I think like at least as far as like stopping rape culture and making the world feel like a safer place for women to walk around in and not constantly feel like they're in danger. My lady carries a freaking pepper spray thing, for God's sake, and she doesn't need to, she shouldn't have to do that, but she does. But either way, that was her, and I'll see you guys in the next episode.